All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our follow-up conversation today, where we're going to cover more questions that were asked because we ran out of time last time. So I'm joined here, as all the webcams are coming on, by Elisa Cordacious and Eric Lawrence, who were on the webinar last time. I'm filling in for Gabe Cohen, whose wife is literally having a baby today, so a little ahead of schedule. And then we're also being joined by some other members of Facebook's Social Good team, Kendra Sinclair and Aliana Zaldana. So make sure you fire off any questions in the questions box of GoToWebinar. You can find it off to the right of your control panel. Just type them in and we'll be taking as many from that box as possible. And since we only have 30 minutes to go through this conversation, we'll just dive right in with some of the FAQs from last time. And one of the questions we received many times was, where can you find a recording of the last webinar? So we're just going to shoot over a link in the chat box. Feel free to pull it from there. We're also going to use this time as we're going through the questions. The panelists will be sending out various links to kind of direct you to FAQs or support pages. And to dive into the substance, we saw a lot of questions coming in last time about custom frames. So Elisa, can you give a little background about what a custom frame is, the steps for creating a custom frame?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Kendra is best spoken to talk about our profile frames.
Sure, yes. I'm a huge fan of profile picture frames. And we actually recently just launched a platform for both people and pages to submit art and create frames that other people on Facebook can download and use. And the concept behind it is, excuse me, to choose graphics that represent your organization or a cause that you support. Apply for the frame by going through facebook.com/fbcameraeffects. We have a review team that will ensure that your designs meet our guidelines and our specs, and once they've approved it, it will launch. And the benefit of these frames is that you'll be able to encourage your supporters to try it. There's a publishing feature which you can publish your frame. You can also boost the frame to reach more audiences. And it's got this really fantastic viral quality because when you use a frame yourself, your friends will see that in newsfeed that you've enabled a custom frame. You can set it for your own day, week, custom timeline for using the frame. It is a really great vehicle for reaching additional people and getting your cause in front of greater audiences.
And then something that's really fun that we had just launched recently is if you are a nonprofit and you have your charitable giving features enabled on your page and you create a profile frame, if someone were to try it, so if Eric or Aliana were to try it and saw that I had tried it in my newsfeed, the next step after adding it to your profile picture is actually being asked, would you like to contribute to this organization? So it's a nice little upsell, if you will. People can decide if they want to move forward with that or not, and either way they're part of the movement by adding the frame and letting us know about your organization.
Yeah, oh, that's great. So we've also seen a couple questions from appealing to a few different nonprofits. So if your Facebook page is set up either as a business or it's as a personal page, how can they change it to a nonprofit page in order to enable the donation tools but without losing any current content or the audience?
Sure, I can speak to that. I hope everyone can hear me. If you have a personal page or a profile that's linked to a business, you should convert it to a Facebook page. And you can do that by following a few easy steps. They'll go ahead and send a link to our help center that'll walk you through those steps. Unfortunately, the content that's on your personal profile won't be switched over to the page. Your profile picture will be, although other posts and things like that won't be converted. You can hand select any followers that you'd like to move over. So I'll send you some more information. There's a wealth of resources on our help center that I'll send over.
Great, thank you, Aliana. So another question kind of along that line is, how can a nonprofit page get verified?
Yeah, so as a nonprofit, in your settings, you have the ability to request verification within your page for a gray badge verification. I can also send over a link that'll show you exactly where you need to go in your settings to request verification, and you'll get gray badge verified.
Perfect. So Eric, popping over to you about Facebook ads. Are there support pages? You know, how can someone find tips for how to target the right demographic and audience?
Yeah, great question. And we've spent actually as a team a lot of time over the last couple years really building out tools that scale out to the broader community. So three that I would highlight, you know, directly related to this question. Number one, we referenced it on the last call, and we'll make sure that you have the URL. But nonprofits.fb.com is a great resource, not only for ads, but just best practices if you are a nonprofit NGO. Page best practices, more information on all the tools that that the social good team has referenced already on this call. More specific to ads, two other resources. We also have a Facebook for Business page, and again, I'll make sure you have that link. That really is specific to marketing on Facebook, so it's going to give you a lot of best practices and sort of 101, 201 level about how to use the platform as it relates to ads. And then finally, we also have a great resource called Facebook Blueprint. So there, within Facebook Blueprint, again, I'll share this URL. You basically have these 10 to 20 minute on average modules, learning modules, so e-learning modules that you can go through. It's all self-learning. You can go in if you've got 30 minutes to spare in a day, or maybe you want to set aside an entire day to just get smarter about using Facebook as it relates to ads and marketing. You go through these modules. It ranges from targeting to creative to basically a lot of sort of the high-level overviews and topics that you would think of when you're thinking of ads on Facebook. So again, we'll make sure that we have all these URLs out to you guys before the end of the call.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be very helpful. So can you add a donate button to an ad, or is that something you need to have from your Facebook page?
So you can. So basically the way you would do that is when you're building your ad campaign. Once you get to the creative part of that build, you're going to select Donate Now as your call to action button. So once you do that, Donate Now will appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your Facebook creative, your Facebook ad, and that's really quite simply the easiest way to do that. And that's being done through Business Manager, again, when you're building out your ads. Just recently, we also added that feature to Instagram ads. So you can go through the same process when you're building your creative for Instagram. There's now a Donate Now call to action that you can add to your Instagram ads.
Perfect. And speaking of the donate button, so Elisa, on the last webinar, you were talking that you could have a Facebook Live event and add a donate button. A couple orgs have already tried that, which is great, but they've had a little trouble kind of getting it up and running. Would you mind walking through the steps?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, if you are a blue verified page or a gray verified page or an individual profile, you can go live. So similar to Composer, writing a post, clicking go live, and then you'll see a little ellipses. It's a dot, 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 bottom center. You'll click that, and then you'll have an option that says Add Donate Button. From there, when you select Add Donate Button, you'll see search functionality where folks can type in your organization, or you can type in your own organization. And from there, it will attach a donate button. You'll go live. We suggest going live for at least 15 minutes. It helps increase viewership, if not longer. And then once you are done with the live, you will publish to your page, and the donate button will actually stick. So people that were viewing the live can contribute, and then people after the fact, if they find it on your page, they can still contribute. Underneath the actual donate button, you'll see the aggregate of the amount of funds that were raised. And another great best practice is to actually pin that post, so it is the first thing that folks will land on your page well after you're live. But happy to follow up with some more step-by-step. Play around with it, check it out. If you get a little nervous about the live itself, you can always delete the post afterwards. So it's a good thing just to test it out and see how it goes.
Perfect. And just to clarify, you can go live from both your nonprofit page and a personal account, right? There's no restriction? Okay. Great.
We opened it up. So last year we launched it for individual profiles. So the Kendra's, Aliana's, Eric's, Elisa's of the world. And then we recently, just about 2 months ago, opened it up for verified pages. And pages meaning it's a nonprofit organization, it's the brands, it's, let's see, public figures, celebrities, so on and so forth.
Perfect.
Yep.
So kind of switching over to fundraisers a little bit, are you able to follow up with people who run and donate to a fundraiser?
So I'll jump in there. If your nonprofit is onboarded through Facebook Payments, you'll get what's called a daily transaction report. In that report, you'll be able to see the first and last name of all donors who donated to your organization. Oftentimes, they'll include their email address, but that is opt-in. If they do include their email address, then you're absolutely more than welcome to follow up.
Perfect. And so, Eric, back over to you. How do you decide, or do you have any advice on when someone should do an ad versus just boosting a post?
Yeah, I mean, essentially they are the same thing. I think the big difference between boosting and sort of a more amplified message, if you will, a more sophisticated ad, is really using Business Manager to create your ads. It allows you to really take advantage of all the targeting, creative, all the suite of products that we offer within Business Manager. You know, boosting, there's value to it, and I think you should use it if you need to, you know, if maybe it's sort of reactive and you're seeing a piece of content that you just put out there recently, really, you know, it's engaging and people are viewing the content, engaging with that content. Boosting it is really a simple thing to do. Our recommendation is if you're going to do sort of more planned media over the course of a longer period of time, Business Manager and really using the ads create flow is probably going to be a better option for you.
Perfect. And then we've been getting some questions just about general fees. So what are the fees for ads, and then chatting about fees for people who donate?
Yeah, so for ads, I mean, it really depends. It depends based on, you know, we're an auction-based ads platform, so it really depends on, you know, you're setting the price, and then the auction is going to find those users that you're looking to target. You know, the nice thing, again, you know, the empathy that we have for this community is it doesn't require, you know, thousands of dollars in marketing budget or hundreds of thousands of dollars. If done right and using the tools that we provide to our marketers and specifically the nonprofit community, you know, you can build an effective campaign on the platform for, you know, quite simply a couple $100. That's really going to have potentially some great meaning and really reach the right people that you need that are supporting your cause or finding a new audience to support your cause.
Awesome, and I can go ahead and talk about the fees that come out of donations. 95% of proceeds go directly to your organization if you're onboarded to Facebook Payments. 2%, there's a 2% fee that goes towards nonprofit vetting, fraud protection, and payment support, and then 3% that covers payment processing. So a total of 5% fees if you are onboarded to Facebook Payments. If you're being paid out through Network for Good, Facebook deducts a 3.5% fee to cover the credit card processing, payment support, and fraud protection. And then there is also a 2.25% fee to cover charity vetting, support, donation disbursement, and operations. So 5.75% if you're going through Network for Good.
Perfect. So one organization has had kind of several Facebook pages, a personal page. Is there any way to consolidate it all to one page, or do you have to start fresh?
I can jump in and answer that question. I think I was corresponding with this person over chat. So there is a process in place in which you can take your personal profile that you created and turn it into a page. Sometimes we've seen this with accounts created several years ago. The difference between a page and a profile wasn't always so clear, so people created profiles to represent their organization or their business. We do have a process in which someone can take that profile and turn it into a page, and it keeps basic profile content intact. We always recommend that people use the Pages product to represent their organization. Profiles are intended for people with real names, real identities, and Pages are intended for businesses and organizations and brands and products. So I will share the link on how to go through and convert a profile to a page in our chat.
Perfect, thank you. And so this is another question kind of about fees and payments, but how does someone get on Facebook payments, and what is it for those of us who don't know?
Yeah, so you can go to donate or facebook.com/donate/sign-up to get onboarded. From there, all you'll need to do is fill out 3 steps. You'll get onboarded, or I'm sorry, you'll get verified, and then you'll go through the community standards check, and then you'll add your banking information so that we can pay you out directly. So Facebook Payments is a way for Facebook to pay you out directly instead of going through Network for Goods Donor Advised Fund.
Perfect, that's good to know. So I guess there's a way to kind of list how your nonprofit or your cause area is with the donate button. How would you change that? One organization's listed under education but should be under health.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so we actually have a process to update your page category. I just had that FAQ open just a moment ago, so I can pull that back up so I can represent all the correct steps. Page category. Okay. So what you would do in order to change your category on your Facebook page, you'd click About on the left-hand side of your page. Below General, you click Edit next to Category, and then you can select an option from the drop-down list that appears there, and then you'll click Save, and then your page's category will be updated. There are no limits to the number of times you can actually change the category of your page. I will also provide the link to those exact steps in our group chat.
Also, if you're onboarding with Facebook Payments, there's a way for you to enter your page's category there. So be sure to enter the NTE code of your choice when you're filling out the application.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So this one's going back to kind of custom frames, what we discussed earlier. If you're having a sponsored event, say you're doing like a run for a specific charity, and you want to create a frame that shows and highlights your sponsors, is that allowed, or do you just need to kind of have it focusing on your organization?
So only nonprofits are able to include their logo in a profile picture frame. There are a select number of entertainment and sports partners as well who would use their logo in frames, but really we're capping it to a small audience, nonprofits included. So if there is a third-party sponsor company, we won't actually allow that logo to be represented in the frame, just the organization's logo.
Mm-hmm. So if the organization is branding the event and utilizing their own image, then that's fine. But if it is a corporation or somebody else that's coming in to sponsor, then it will most likely be denied.
And the purpose behind that is to ensure that frames don't become a means for advertising or marketing or spamming. We want them to be really delightful for people, and people are really likely to represent an organization that they care about versus a brand or product that they may be interested in.
Perfect. Makes sense. So Eric,
Yes.
in your experience or in your opinion, what is the best way nonprofits can use ads? Like, do you have an example you can share of a super effective ad campaign?
I think the best answer, without extending this out to a 2-hour session, is really ensuring that you're reaching the right audience. The platform provides a number of different suite of products as it relates to targeting. So starting with that target audience is really going to is going to leverage the platform and find the people that are likely to be interested in your cause. Once you've done that, we definitely encourage people to spend some time thinking about creative. The nonprofit community has a lot of authentic creative at their fingertips. And authenticity on Facebook in general is what's going to resonate really well with our users. And really an easy way to sort of think about that is think about your own use of Facebook. And you're viewing content in your newsfeed that includes photos from friends, weddings, baby pictures. I mean, it's a real authentic content. So in order to really be a part of that newsfeed environment, we definitely encourage nonprofits and for-profit organizations to use creative and imagery and videos that is authentic. So those are really two sort of high-level tips that I would provide to really ensure that your campaign is going to be in fact effective and impactful.
Great, thank you. So Elisa or Kendra, for giving season, how can nonprofits who want to use Facebook Live and the donate button kind of prepare for Giving Tuesday?
Well, we can't start early enough. We'll actually be doing a follow-up webinar with Jackie and GuideStar starting to gear up for Giving Tuesday, so that will be a first stop. In terms of starting to increase your engagement within Facebook, I know for nonprofits we care a lot about email marketing and kind of teeing people up to get excited about December and November, but I can't encourage you enough to start testing different types of messaging and content on your own Facebook page, especially in order to kind of capitalize on these new charitable giving features and letting people know that they exist. It's great that we're in early days. It's been about a year, but you'd be surprised how many people still don't know that they can contribute to a cause that they care about on Facebook. So I think educating your supporters is a really key piece of it.
Jackie, can I just add, fundraisers are such a fantastic tool on Facebook for nonprofits, and oftentimes nonprofits may be reluctant to push their donors to create a fundraiser on their behalf, and they don't understand fully how that product looks and feels, or they don't have a reference point. So I'd encourage nonprofits that are interested in exploring fundraisers to actually have someone affiliated with your organization create a fundraiser. Oftentimes creating it in lieu of birthday gifts or for a special moment or cause tied back to the nonprofit is a great way to get past that first hurdle. And then test the product, and then all of a sudden you become a lot more comfortable with what to expect, how to receive donations and payments, and essentially communicate with supporters about how fundraisers should look and feel.
So how can you go about kind of telling your supporters that they can fundraise on your behalf, or kind of showing them how to run a donation campaign?
Email marketing link?
Go for it.
You go for it.
There you go.
So there's a really great tool that can be used both on Facebook and off Facebook, specifically for email marketing campaigns. That is a fundraiser link. So when you type in your organization name in your page URL and include the fundraiser ending to that URL, and we'll share in the chat exactly how that will look and feel relative to your vanity URL on Facebook, that all of a sudden creates a destination for people to visit and click create a fundraiser and see other fundraisers created. It's a really great reason for a nonprofit to experiment in-house with creating a fundraiser first, so that people can get a better idea in terms of how a fundraiser operates and how to build out a description, how to interact with donors. So the link is a really great way to help educate people on what a fundraiser, like how it can operate, and also drive them to that creation step.
Perfect. So is there one central location to learn about all these tools for nonprofits?
Absolutely. We have our nonprofit site called nonprofits.fb.com. It is full of resources across the board. Eric's ads blueprint module is in there, in addition to our charitable giving features, in addition to just how to grow your page presence in general on Facebook, how to utilize groups. So it is a great wealth of knowledge, and we'll be sure to share it after the webinar.
There's also a tab on that website specifically around activating your supporters. So if you're interested in that, please do check that out.
Yeah, and the final thing I would say for that site that's included is case studies. So if you want to look at some past examples of ways nonprofits have leveraged the platform, that site also houses some really solid case studies that you can reference.
Awesome, thank you. So we have about 5 minutes left. Feel free to send in any last questions. We're still going to try to get to as many as possible. Kind of transitioning back to the donate button, the analytics behind it, is there any reason that it wouldn't be showing information? Is there a delay after you run a campaign?
Yeah, so the transaction reports are updated daily, but there's a 48-hour delay until you can see that data. So just wait 48 hours after a donation came through, and then it should populate on the report.
Perfect, thank you. And are all of these great features like the donate button, donating with a live campaign, fundraisers, are those available to all nonprofit pages?
Currently, they're available for US-based 501c3s. At this time, just with our early launches, we've really focused in the US, but we're excited to expand in the near future.
Perfect. And so how much, and this is, I mean, I'm sure this question's different for every nonprofit, but to kind of start with an ad campaign, should they start small? Should they go full scale with a large ad campaign? Eric, what's your advice?
I would say that if you're new to the platform and you have not yet used Facebook or Instagram for marketing purposes, I would recommend that you start with some small tests. As I mentioned earlier, you don't need large budgets to really start proving out what works on the platform. Again, we're also empathetic to the smaller marketing budgets that are available to these nonprofits. So I would recommend, again, if you're new, start small. Get some learnings, build some experience on the platform. You might not hit a home run every time. You might not see success with every ad that you put out there or every type of targeting that you use. So learn and iterate from there. Again, I think it's one of the greatest strengths of the platform is that in almost real time, as it relates to ads, you're going to get sort of that feedback. And from there, learn and implement, a different strategy based on those learnings.
Perfect. All right, so we just have a few minutes left. What would you all say? So maybe a quick answer from all of you. If you were talking to your friend at a nonprofit organization, what is the one takeaway you each would share?
I can start. I would go ahead and recommend that they get onboarded to Facebook payments because you'll get a faster payout. The fees are reduced. You have access to those reports that I was telling you about earlier. Everything's tied back to your page, and I think it's just a much better experience overall. So if your nonprofit hasn't signed up yet, please do so.
My top tip would be something that speaks to pretty technical jargon, but if you've heard the term dog food, essentially that means that you're like eating your own food, you're testing things out. My top tip to anyone working at a nonprofit is to really use Facebook and Instagram products, understand how they work. When you become an expert in something, all of a sudden you build a lot more confidence and you can help supporters also use those tools to fundraise on their behalf.
I agree. Test, test, test. I mean, it's so exciting that these tools exist now. So don't be afraid of them. Also, don't try to fit a triangle in a square. Just really kind of get in there and start working on your storytelling through this new wave of a communication channel that didn't exist before. So.
And I would just say, before you spend a single dollar on the platform, make sure you've defined your goals and objectives. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to measure success. So start with your goals and objectives. Once those are clearly defined, then move into the next phase, which would be developing your marketing campaign.
Perfect. Well, we're at time, so thank you everyone for joining us and submitting all the fantastic questions. I'm personally really excited to see all the great fundraisers and ad campaigns that come out of this. If you missed a point, don't worry. We're going to be sending out all these links and the recording, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. And Eric, Elisa, Aliana, and Kendra, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Debbie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.